Hi, in this sixth mini video I will provide you some information to be able to answer to question number 6 of the game, how does our planet work, climates? Here is Hélène Gaonac'h. Question number 6 is, what caused the disappearance of the dinosaurs? It isn't always easy to understand how and why certain past civilizations suddenly disappeared. But it seems that in several cases, climate change was an important factor. Some of the Vikings, for example, decided to go west from Iceland and arrived in Greenland in 984. They settled south of Greenland and on its west coast. Then they tried implanting their European ways of agriculture and commerce. During 450 years, they were fairly successful, but a global cooling disturbed their prosperity. Indeed, a little ice age took place in Europe. Between the 40th and the 19th century, the climate was colder in Europe and North America than today. Winter access to northern European harbors was closed due to ice, and the Vikings were no longer able to receive products such as iron, a necessity for tools and for war with their Inuit neighbors. Moreover, the cooling limited agriculture and placed the Vikings in a survival situation. They had to leave Greenland. The Mayans represent another example where climate change was probably harmful. The Mayans lived in a period of abundance between the 6th and the 9th century. But the climate became more arid, and they could not live anymore on agriculture, and they were forced to abandon many of their cities. The Earth's history is rich in extinctions for certain species and for appearance of new ones. But scientists have spotted 5 mass extinction events where at least 75% of the species disappeared. They believe that climate change affects one way or the other the disappearance of species. I will mention 2 of them here, the Permian extinction and the Cretaceous extinction. At the end of the Permian period, close to 95% of marine and terrestrial species disappeared. This extinction event is the most severe to have occurred during the Earth's history. High concentration in CO2, probably caused by intense volcanic activity, led at the end of the Permian period to average high temperatures at the equator between 50 and 60 Celsius degrees. Oceanic waters warmed too, preventing life quickly from returning. Among the well-known species that disappeared at the end of the Permian, we can mention trilobites. This extinction happened 252 million years before today. The second mass extinction I will talk about here is the one related to the end of the Cretaceous period that happened around 65 million years ago. It caused the disappearance of 76% of the species. This is the most well-known event associated with the end of most dinosaurs. This mass extinction is believed to have been caused by the fall of an asteroid which landed off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico and created impacts, including a crater 180 kilometers wide, and created also the cooling of the climate. We have to be aware that mass extinctions happened over a million years, whereas the climate change today is going over a few decades only. What to expect today in Quebec? Scientists work on several studies and they have proposed climate projections for the future of temperature, precipitation, and other variables. Consider the summer temperature scenario in Quebec. Here is a map of observed summer mean temperatures between 1961 and 1990. On the right is a map of projections of summer mean temperatures for the horizon 2041 and 2070. What should be noticed is that in both southern and northern Quebec, scientists are expecting an increase in temperature of 2 to 3 Celsius degrees during the summer. When looking at the winter temperature scenario in Quebec, they have noticed between the observed winter mean temperatures and projected ones for 2070 a warming in winter of 3 to 4 Celsius degrees in southern Quebec and a rise of 5 to 7 Celsius degrees in northern Quebec. So a larger warming in winter, during winter, over northern Quebec. When considering precipitation, scientists are planning an increase of precipitation during the winter, both in northern and southern Quebec. This rise will provide more winter snowpack over northern Quebec, but a decrease over southern Quebec due to the higher ground temperatures in the south. During the summer, scientists project an increase in precipitation in northern Quebec, but no significant change in southern Quebec. Impacts will be present in all sectors in the economy of Quebec, and we do, in fact, already observe some. If we consider biodiversity and ecosystems, it is interesting to mention the following example from a research conducted by Dominique Berthaud's team. The white-throated sparrow, this small bird enjoying Quebec in summer and leaving south for the winter, has been coming back in spring on average 10 days earlier in 2008 than it used to in 1970. The difference in the two dates has been interpreted as being due to climate change. Lyme disease is another example. It migrated in the province, transported by mice and deer. And it has been interpreted as, its move has been interpreted as being related to climate change. Another sector impacted by climate change in Quebec is the one related to infrastructure, meaning buildings, roads, landing strips at airports, harbors, etc. The Quebec Arctic is planned to be one of the regions more severely affected by climate change in Quebec, since it will be subjected to the melting of more and more permafrost, the fraction of the ground that used to be annually frozen. Ground deformation, collapse is becoming frequent and will become more and more frequent. The St. Lawrence banks are also more risky due to the rise of sea level, the reduction of sea ice cover, the change in storm systems. This evolution will lead to higher risks for houses, roads, nearing riverbanks. In southern Quebec, scientists are concerned by higher frequencies and intensities of heavy rain, events called extreme events, that will produce more frequent flooding in winter and summer. Here is the end of the 6th mini video. You can find all the videos about the climate game on the blog at the address jeclimatem.blogspot.ca. Have a nice day.